On the news, Supreme Court grants full financial autonomy to local governments. NLC meets with President Tinubu, insists on 250,000 naira as new minimum wage. And former Minister of Power Saleh Maman collapses outside courtroom. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolye. The Supreme Court has ruled that the federal government must now pay funds meant for local government councils from the Federation account directly to them rather than the states. This decision comes after years of state governments allegedly abusing their powers by holding on to and misusing funds meant for local government areas. Justice Emmanuel Agim, who delivered the lead judgment, also made it clear the state governors do not have the power to dissolve democratically elected local government councils or appoint caretaker chairmen to run the local government in the country. It ordered the federal government to withhold allocations to local governments that are run by unelected officials appointed by the governors. The Apex Court also held that no House of Assembly of any state has the power to make laws that could in any manner interfere with monies meant for the local government.
The judgment on local government autonomy have just been delivered by the Supreme Court. We'll get the certified true copy of the judgment as a body. The body of State Attorneys General of the Federation will study it and then we'll come up with our statement on it.
Court is not only for rich men, but for the poor. So that is the reason why this judgment it makes differentiate or appreciate with the other judgment as one of the sound and a beautiful judgment in this country. You can see the Supreme Court rely on Section 162, which 162 sub 3, which is a paramount that says that the federal government should distribute or allocate money to all local governments, not through the state government again.
5 and 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria makes provision that money due to local government shall be paid through the joint account. But that provision was considered to be a discretionary provision, meaning it can be tinkered with. And in their lawsuit judgment, they said that is not mandatory. Therefore, their lordship came to a conclusion that money due to local government shall henceforth be paid directly from the Federation account to the 774 local government and 6 municipal council in Abuja.
Enough of the intimidation by forces who do not want democracy to exist in Nigeria. Mr. President, we say thank you for being a true Democrat. Thank you for giving life to democracy in Nigeria. We will never forget these gifts you've given to us. We want to say that democracy can now work at the third tier and Nigeria is on the movement of rising again.
Now, following the ruling, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SIRAP) has called on Nigeria's 36 state governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to immediately account for and return local government funds that have been collected over the years. In a statement signed by SIRAP's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, the organization praised the Supreme Court's decision, saying it has the potential to end the persistent misappropriation of trillions of naira in public funds allocated to the local government. SIRAP also called on the National Assembly to urgently amend Section 162 of the Nigerian Constitution to ensure that local government allocations from the Federation account are directly paid to local government areas, bypassing the governors and FCT minister. The organization warned that if the governors and FCT minister failed to comply within 7 days, it would consider appropriate legal actions to compel them to return the funds in the public interest. Now, joining me to discuss the ruling of the Supreme Court on local government autonomy is legal practitioner Batunde Falola. Thank you for joining us. Now, what do you make of this important ruling by the Supreme Court?
First and foremost, I join several thousands of Nigerians in appreciating the erudite decision of the Supreme Court in affirming, and giving life to true democratic following Nigeria The decision of the Supreme Court is in line with the provision of the Constitution, particularly Section 7, which guarantee, the existence of a democratically elected government at the local government level. So, in all, the decision is in line with the Constitution, and I call on all Nigerians to embrace it, particularly our governors in various states of the Federation. They should ensure that they comply with this judgment. It's a landmark decision in the history of this country.
Important as this ruling is, do you think it will make much difference if there is no change in the way local government elections are conducted, like taking away the power to conduct local government elections from the government and giving it to INEC?
Well, as a moving forward, I think the best bet is for the National Assembly to amend the provision of the Constitution so that INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, can be saddled with the power to conduct local government election in Nigeria. Such power should not be left in the hands of a state electoral commission to avoid, unnecessary influence from the state government. So I want to call on the National Assembly and women in Nigeria to, join hands together to ensure that the conduct of the local government election is solely the responsibility of Independent National Electoral Commission. If that one is done, we're able to achieve meaningful development and give effect to the judgment of the Supreme Court, which was delivered today.
All right, legal expert Tunde Falola, thank you so much for your time. Moving on, the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC and Trade Union Congress TUC have engaged in a crucial meeting with President Bola Tinubu over the proposed new minimum wage. Now, following the meeting, Minister of Information Mohammed Idris addressed the press, saying that despite the federal government proposal of 62,000 naira as the new minimum wage, which was agreed upon by the tripartite committee and the private sector, the labour unions are still insisting on the demand of 250,000 naira. He said for their discussion have been shifted for a week.
Already there is 62,000 naira that has been put out there, the government side, the organized private sector, but the organized labor is still not accepting that. But we know that they will come to the table, and they have come to the table today. We know that this is going to be something that is going to be workable for Nigerians. The organized labor and government will reach an agreement. We have adjourned now for a week. The labor union has asked that government allow them at least a week to consult further. We have allowed them. We are going to reconvene in the next 1 week, and we hope and we believe that at the end of the day we will have something good for all Nigerians. The president has always said that this is our country. The labor unions are Nigerians. We are all Nigerians. We have to work together to find something that works for all of us, and I think this is a step in the right direction. We do hope that by the time we come together again next week, we will have something that we can put out for Nigerians to see and to agree with.
And the Federal Executive Council FEC has stepped down memoranda for some major projects that require additional funding, especially projects under the purview of the Ministry of Works. The project affected are those that were inherited from past administrations, which require augmentation. At the FEC meeting on Wednesday, President Tinubu called for a review of all planned procurement of all ministries, departments, and agencies in a bid to ensure better budget implementation. TV360's correspondent Victoria Konde has more on the story.
Securing project finance in Nigeria is not without its challenges. One of the major obstacles is the presence of political and regulatory risks, limited access to long-term funds and project-related risks, hence the need for the establishment of a robust procurement council. To this end, President Bola Tinubu has directed a thorough examination of these projects to ensure probity, proficiency and diligence in their execution. Briefing newsmen after the FEC meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the State House on Wednesday, Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris says the federal government is ready to reconsider and reprioritize most of the inherited projects under the Federal Ministry of Works, while it sources for alternative funding and reevaluate those that can be completed. The minister, however, clarified the newly approved projects are not part of the review.
All the projects that we said will be stepped down does not mean that they are going to be thrown away. What council decision is that we'll bring them all, look at them again. Now the Minister of Budget, Minister of Finance, the Minister of Works will sit down and look at the projects again and reprioritize and source for funding for these projects so that government will look at those ones that can actually be completed so that we don't suffer this recurrence of abandoned projects or projects lingering beyond budgetary circles.
The Council has also decided to revamp the National Council on Procurement, which has been ineffective for the past 17 years. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Abubakar Bagudu revealed that an inter-ministerial committee headed by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice has been constituted to review the Public Procurement Act.
The memo that the Cabinet Secretariat will provide to the Federal Executive Council will have recommendation, clarity of where funding is expected to come from and recommendations so as to guide effective Federal Executive Council decisions.
It is important that we bring these the content of the act to be in tandem with the happenings in the society. So that was why Mr. President directed that a good basis for performance, especially when it comes to infrastructural development.
Additionally, the FEC addressed a controversial report by a national daily on the Samoa Agreement, which claimed Nigeria had signed an agreement endorsing LGBTQ rights in exchange for $150 billion. The Council confirmed a letter of complaint has been forwarded to the Nigerian Press Council to address the misinformation.
Government still believe that news by the media trust is not correct. Nigerians have been misinformed, and in the process, a lot of damage has been done on the psyche of our people. People have interpreted, sometimes without even reading the report itself.
Earlier, President Tinubu swore in new 8 permanent secretaries. The president had approved the appointment of the permanent secretaries on June 28, 2024 to fill in existing and impending vacancies of some states and geopolitical zones in the top administrative cadre of the civil service of the Federation. Victoria Akonde, TV 360 Lagos.
Meanwhile, Salem Maman, who served as Nigeria's Minister of Power under former President Muhammadu Buhari, collapsed outside the Federal High Court in Abuja on Thursday. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has brought a 12-count charge against Maman, alleging money laundering amounting to 33 billion naira. Before the proceedings commenced, Maman's counsel, Femi Ate, informed Justice James Omotosho that his client had collapsed due to ill health. Ate explained that Maman collapsed upon arrival at the court premises and required resuscitation by the court's medical personnel. The former minister pleaded not guilty to the charge preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The court, however, ordered that the former Minister of Power be remanded in Kuje prison in Abuja pending the consideration of his bail application. An emotion built over on Wednesday at an investigative hearing of the House of Representatives Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development. The committee is investigating a non-payment of 1.5 billion naira to contractors under the ministry despite the release of funds. But things went out of control when the Minister of Women Affairs Uju Kennedy Owaneye and members of the House Committee led by Honorable Kafilat Ogbara engaged in a shouting match. Now this next report has more details. The House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development, chaired by Kafila Togbara, had summoned the Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, over allegations of corruption in her ministry. The questioning extended to unrelated expenditures, including 45 million naira for a New Year party, 20 million naira for sanitary pads, and 1.5 million for vehicle fuels. The committee also sought clarification on funds appropriated for the African First Lady's mission and whereabouts of 1.5 billion naira meant for contracted payments.
This interactive session is not to witch hunt, like I said the last time, or malign anyone, but to exercise our constitutional power as enshrined in the principle of checks and balance of government expenditure. The committee's mandate is anchored in the House Order 20, Rule 138. As we discharge our duties, let us remain committed to upholding these constitutional and legal imperatives, ensuring that our actions and decisions align with the highest standards of the law.
One of the points that caught my attention in that clip was when the contractor was complaining that they have done a job, they've delivered, and everything has been signed, but they did not pay them. I think one woman was even said in that clip that he borrowed 5 million for the bank and he supplied items to the Minister of Women's Affairs, but he delivered, they signed the documents, and money has not been paid.
Things later boiled over as soon as the hearing turned into a shouting match, with committee members and the minister all in accusations and counter-accusations.
Appropriated for 2023 from the Accountant General's office, was it released to the account of the Ministry of Women Affairs, yes or no?
Honorable Minister and your team, Mr. DFA, I'm at a loss because fortunately I attended the last meeting, and one of the reasons why we took you on oath was to get the truth from you, and today you have deviated. You have deviated because you did say, yes, there was release of money, and you take instruction from principal. And there and then, I confronted permanent secretary. He said he was not in the known. And I still making my statement that you are running the ministry with your minister. Both of you will be
I take exception to that. Please don't interrupt, honorable member. Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt, honorable member. Please let her finish. I am not stop interrupting, honorable member. She should withdraw that statement she said about me. Honorable minister, calm down. Honorable minister, calm down.
I am repeating what I said. You did say is what they approved to you. I said, Mr. Pam said, what happened? You are not in the known. I said, look, I was twice commissioner in my state, and the accounting officer is the permanent secretary. Please, you people should work with the permanent secretary. Didn't I say so, Mr. DFA? I am still saying it.
Don't worry, you will talk. You will have your time. You will have your time. Honorable minister, you will have your time. You will have your time. Yes.
No fairness here. It's a trap. It's a trap, but I'm not going to jump into it.
Thank you, Chairperson.
I will not jump into the trap.
Please, honorable minister,
I fear nothing. I've stolen nothing.
Honorable minister, you will have your time to talk.
I have never tampered with anything.
In response to the committee's inquiries, the minister denied allegations of misappropriation, overspending, and non-payment to contractors.
On the issue of the contract, even the ones given while I was there, they have not been paid. Yes, they have not been paid. So there is no partiality here except that we are underfunded.
With the minister and committee members engaged in round of harsher exchanges, the section was already adjourned until further notice. The committee also ordered the stoppage of all 2024 contract processes by the Ministry of Women Affairs until the whereabouts of the funds for the said contracts were determined. Tamilore Akinkolia, TV360, Lagos. In a bid to intensify efforts against crude oil theft, the Nigerian Navy has announced an extension of Operation Delta Sanity by 90 days. The decision made by Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ikechukwu Ogala was conveyed by Rear Admiral Olusegun Ferreira on July 10, 2024, aboard the Nigerian Navy ship in Ono Rivers State. Operation Delta Sanity, which commenced on January 6, 2024, aims to combat oil theft and related crimes. According to Naval Director of Information, Adams Aliu, the operation aligns with directive from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to eradicate crude oil theft and boost Nigeria's oil production for economic growth. We'll take a break here, but still to come, CBN says Nigeria's forex reserves exceed $35 billion. Details of the story after this break. Welcome back. Now, here's a recap of our top stories. The leaders of the NLC, Nigeria Labour Congress, and Trade Union Congress, TUC, met with President Tinubu to discuss the new minimum wage. Minister of Information Mohammed Idris reported that despite the federal government's proposal of 62,000 naira, which was agreed upon by the tripartite committee and the private sector, the labour unions insisted on 250,000 naira minimum wage. Consequently, further discussions have been postponed for a week. Now, we also told you that the Supreme Court has mandated that the federal government must directly allocate funds to local government councils from the Federation accounts, ending the practice of state governments holding and misusing these funds. Justice Emmanuel Aji, in the lead judgment, declared that the state governors can no longer dissolve democratically elected local councils to install their own appointees. The court also ordered the federal government to withhold allocations to local governments run by unelected officials. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. It's time for business news, and Okwayemi Owosheni is on standby. Over to you, Okwayemi.
Thank you, Tamilore. Welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria says Nigeria's external reserves have reached $35.05 billion as of July 8, 2024. Now, this is the first time it has crossed the $35 billion ceiling under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. According to CBN's data on external reserves as of May 30, 2023, the reserves were $35.09 billion, about 14 days before the introduction of the foreign exchange unification policy in June 2023. However, when the CBN announced the FX unification policy, the external reserves dropped from 34.66 billion naira from July to December 2023. The reserve fluctuated within the $33 billion range. While addressing the reason behind the drop, the Central Bank of Governor blamed the decrease in reserves primarily due to debt prepayment and other standard financial obligations rather than efforts to defend the naira. We'll go on a short break and be back with stock market reports. Welcome back. Nigeria's equities market traded further south on Thursday by 0.33%. Following limited drivers of buy-side actions on the Lagos bourse. Now, Ikeja Hotel led the laggard with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.29%, closing at 6 naira 35 kobo per share. It was followed closely by Honeywell Flour Mill. Now, at the end of trading on Thursday, a total of 296 million volumes of shares were exchanged in 7,126 deals, corresponding to a market value of over 5 billion naira. Now, when compared with the previous NGX trading day, that's Wednesday, Thursday, July 10th. Today's data shows 68% decline in volume, 44% decline in turnover, and 13% decline in deals. Now, looking at our select global equities, Wall Stock hits new all-time high on Thursday as traders counted down expected to show inflation easing and pave the way for the Fed to start its long-awaited interest rate cut cycle as soon as September 2024, leaving all our global stocks in the bullish trade. That's the UK FTSE, the US Dow Jones, and Japan's Nikkei. Now, switching gears to the forex scene, the naira dipped further to trade at 1,565 naira to $1 on the black market. The British pound traded at 2,050 naira on the black market, while the euros traded at 1,680 naira on the black market. That's it on both business and stock market report. Back to you, Tamilore, for the rest of the news.
Thank you for that update, Okpeyemi. Now, on the global scene, China has firstly rejected accusations from NATO, whose leaders are meeting in Washington, that is helping maintain Russia's war in Ukraine. Beijing called on NATO to stop hyping up the so-called China threat and urged nations to reflect on the root causes of the war. The NATO gathering has mostly focused on support for Ukraine, but China's role has also come under the spotlight. The military alliance said Beijing had become Russia's decisive enabler with its large-scale support for Russia's defense industrial base. Meanwhile, Russia has reacted angrily to NATO's pledge of more military assistance to Kyiv. And finally, on sports, Kenyan marathon runner Lawrence Cherono has been handed a 7-year ban for breaching doping rules, the Athletics Integrity Unit AIU announced on Wednesday. The 35-year-old runner who won the Boston and Chicago Marathon in 2019 provided an out-of-competition urine sample in May 2022, which revealed the presence of prohibited substance. Cherono's ban had been backdated to July 2022 when his provisional suspension began, meaning the Kenyan will be unable to compete until 2029. The positive test earned the runner a 4-year ban plus an additional 4 years for submitting misleading, forged and falsified information, the AIU indicated. And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkwole. See you again next time.